Hello and welcome to the 13th devlog for Darkest Day, Brightest Night. First of all, apologies. I noticed that in the last devlog I switched from a display capture to a window capture and it did not actually record the gameplay footage I showed. So I'll be showing that off today, together with the progress I have made. So, knock back, knock up and knock down. And then you got stun as well. That basically locks your character in place. Crowd control is still operational. Good news, physics controller is also still operational. It has not shown any issues since I did the whole rework on it, which is amazing. Aside from that, I also managed to finish up the character movement. Yeah. Last two parts were wall climbing, wall jumping and the wall sliding. So, first of all, I have a major issue with this one, as the fact that not every character type can use walls for movement and mobility. Especially if I'll be adding new characters later on with DLCs and whatnot, they'll use other means of vertical travel. Even with this character, the non-corrupted version cannot climb walls, can't even wall jump. The only thing he can do is slide down a wall to reduce his own gravity, which is functional, pretty nice. So how did I create a system where the players could use different types of movement depending on its type? Well, not through spaghetti code, that's for sure. Normally, the one way you could do it is add a bunch of checks within its movement code to check whether or not the character is a certain type or a certain character that is able to do these kinds of things. Or you could use booleans, like allow wall climbing and whatnot, but that is very inconvenient to use and just piles up the more customized movement you add to a character. So it's something else. I made an empty variable and I added a check that basically checked whether or not this variable was empty or not. If it's not an empty variable, execute it as if it's a method. This allowed me to go into the child object of player character and initialize this variable as a method, adding in all of the custom movement code that then would be executed at the correct place. This means that my character is now able to do this fancy thing, but it can also swap types. As you can see on the bottom here, it switched from a 0 to 1. That's how I know what character type I'm currently playing as, because visually it's still the same. This is your corrupted version, which specializes in vertical movement. So your jump is higher, you stick to walls, and you can actually climb walls. You can also jump from walls onto whatever you see fit. You just leave the wall if you so please, or jump from it, and you gain a bit of height. This also allows you to wall climb the same wall by jumping, if you want to speed it up a little. If you've noticed, by the way, gravity for both is also vastly different. The corrupted version uses regular gravity, but the non-corrupted version has a lower gravity, allowing for longer jumps. A normal version of the player will focus on horizontal movement. Dashing is currently still disabled. It's going to be redesigned eventually, but the current system for dashing isn't exactly something that fits within the theme of the game. So that has been disabled until I figure out what I want to do with dashing. Yeah, switching between the two allows you to reach surfaces that you couldn't before. The specific values for jump height and gravity and movement speed and whatnot are still temporary. I'll have extensive playtesting done on those, so I can adjust them to make them feel as good as possible. Once I was done with player movement, I moved over to enemies. And this one is a bit of work. Enemy characters consist of two major components, which is movement and attacking. Attacking... Oops, I just hit my water jar ignore that. Attacking consists out of two parts itself, one of which is the attacking, of course, which will use the sequences that was added in the latest update. Very fancy feature. Can't wait to start using them. The other part is the probability calculator, which basically randomizes what attacks the opponent will perform. I already had a system for this, a completely functional and operational system, but it ran on the old array system. And with the 2.3 update changing how arrays worked, I kind of recoded it a bit, made it multi-dimensional array, so I no longer have to use negative numbers to specify whether or not it's a flexible percentage or a set value. Removed some unnecessary complexity from it as well. Made some methods that prioritize a certain type. A backup of the probability array gets made at every start of the game loop, and it gets restored at the end of the game loop, so I can prioritize or change how frequent certain attacks should be performed, and without actually losing the initial values. This is currently waiting to be tested. I need to finish up with sequences before I can actually see if this is functional or not. But it's done as far as I'm concerned. And I hope that no issues arise when I do get to test this. The second main component for enemies is movement. And this is the tricky part. Most platformers have simple enemy movement. They stay on their platform, move left to right, and then attack the player if the player comes within reach. More complex movement is solved by using an A-star pathfinding array on a grid-based level. Most of platformer levels are squarey grid-based, so everything gets divided into tiles, and then the array runs through those tiles to find a path. And even though my current test level is grid-based, the eventual levels will not be. The eventual levels will have a more complex collision map for their terrain, and it'll have slopes, rounded surfaces, whatnot. So a grid-based pathfinding method does not function. So instead I need to use a node system. Basically create a bunch of points, like I'm testing out here. Create a bunch of points called nodes that then connect with each other and form pathways for the algorithm to run through. The main issue is that you need to set these arrays where they belong, create their connections, and then specify what type of path it is. If it's a one-way path, if the character needs to jump to reach it, or if the character needs to fall, whatnot. And to do that manually in every single level is insane and almost impossible. So I am currently working on a system that will automatically place the nodes as objects, then try to build connections between the nodes wherever possible, set the connection type, and then it will save all of that information within a struct that will be put inside a list in a single node controller, and then all of those objects gets poofed out of existence, which will free up a lot of processing power and runtime. But of course that is a very complex system, and it'll take me at least a week to actually get this operational. And that is what I'll be doing next week as well. I'll be finishing up this so I can start on sequences, and once that is done I have a functional dev build to send out to my testing squad. Once they have playtested this enough and I've managed to polish it up a bit, I can finish up the GUI menu system, and then I'll have a functioning demo build that I can publish on the Discord for people to install, and they'll have a single rudimentary level with a single opponent, which will be the first boss you'll encounter in the actual game, the loader boss. You'll be fighting him. Not this guy, by the way. This guy will be deleted. Freaking ugly. So yeah. Those are the plans. And yeah. If you have any questions or want to contact me, you can place the comment down in the YouTube comment section. You can also contact me through the official Facebook page, or preferably on the official Discord. If you ping me there, I'll respond the fastest. Yeah, new devlog will be made after I am done with sequencing and have a functional dev build. So you can expect that to be done in like 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, depends on how long it takes to animate everything. Yeah, that's it for this devlog. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.